Joe, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. It was a big weekend for you, man. I know that it's been a few days. You had to let it settle in, but how about your birds, huh?
It was a wonderful weekend.
There you
And
go.
let me just ask everybody here and anybody who's listening. What did I say? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? We're not talking a 2P. We're not talking a 3P. We're not talking even a 4P. We're talking a minimum 8P. Okay.
You know, you try
That's dominance.
you try and get on board. You try and be supportive of your friends, your boys. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm after, I'm like, all right, I'll help out Joe. And you come out here with that nonsense promo that never came true for the Heat. And, you just got to let it be a little bit. That's why you Philly fans get a little reputation that you have.
Oh, come on. I'm just excited. This was fun. I mean, that was really fun.
They put it on them, man. I was joking with during the game with Chris at BNS Reptilia because we had joked. I think you'd said it was going to be like Philly by like 48 or something. I was like, oh my God, it might be Philly by 48. And then I was like, I had put the over under at 65, and I was like, we're going to hit this over under, and it's going to be all Philly though. Got to 62. I thought that was a pretty
62.
Good, pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close.
So
yeah, I mean, we had it was good. I don't mean to gloat because I had really nothing to do with it. I'm just a fan.
It's an often understated point that I think bears looking into a little bit. Yes, that's true. Not much to it there.
But yeah, we had some folks over, and I made them all wear Eagles t-shirts and root for the Eagles. Even though there was one person who was kind of like, I'd rather root for the Chiefs, but I got him. I pulled them over to the other side. Plus the Eagles, pulled them over to the other side too, I think eventually.
Well, yeah, eventually you're like, okay, maybe we'll go, when in Rome, we'll give it a shot. It looks like Charlie's going to the parade, man.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Can you imagine the debauchery that will be the Philadelphia streets during that parade?
I mean, did you see? I mean, did you see it on Sunday?
Yeah, I did. It's going to happen all over again.
I mean, there's just horses going down Broad Street. Not with, it's not police horses, it's just horses.
Oh, just regular. Where'd they come from?
Regular people.
Regular horses? You can't say regular horses and have them in the middle of downtown. Like, that's not how regular horses work.
Regular.
Just regular horses. Okay. All right. Well, what did you go to work on? I have a good Philly fan buddy in Jacksonville that I was talking to him Sunday night, and he's like, "Yeah, call me Monday. I'm off. I took the day off." And I'm like, "Took the day off?"
That's smart. That was smart. It was smart. No, I did not. I could not take off Monday, so I had to be careful. I had to watch myself. Didn't celebrate too hard. Still was a little bit. Monday was a little bit iffy. But
a little tired,
I
huh?
got through it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a little iffy. But yeah. I did not no. And it hasn't been celebrating all week. It's just I wanted to, represent.
Live it up,
this morning. Yeah, that's right.
We forget the fleeting moments of joy, So live it up.
Yeah, it is funny when you are a fan too, how excited you are and how it kind of stays with you. I mean, I'm walking around like a champion. You know what I mean?
Just Ric Flairing it everywhere you go. Just strangers getting a woo.
Yeah. I'm much more confident. This is ridiculous.
Walking around like a champion. You're gonna fight somebody now. You'd be like, "Hey, you! Like, come on, let's have a little fight." You gonna find a Chiefs fan?
Well, basically, I am a champion. I mean, this is
you guys did it. You were on the team. You made it happen. You collaborated. You were a force multiplier, man. You did it up.
I yelled a lot. It was that they needed those yells from my house in Florida.
I'm sure they felt it. They right in the good spot, a little tingle.
The next day was like, hey, everybody. Let's get to work, everybody.
In case anybody's wondering, this isn't a sports show about Joe in Philadelphia. It's
No.
just apropos time. I have a guy with reptiles. Joe's a guy that doesn't have reptiles, and we talk business and life and try and figure out some quandaries,
And I got a lot of questions. For the reptile people.
Joe does have questions. So glad you're here. If you haven't been here before, I hope you'll check it out sooner. I'm working on an intro to explain that so we don't have to suffer through us trying to get our concept across, our elevator pitch across every time. But thanks to everybody that is here. Good morning, man. I always forget how early, I kind of make this like a routine now. I'm like, yeah, it's just what I do. This is stupid early. 6:30 in the morning. We're trying to run a business show about reptiles, man.
But this is fun. It's always a good way to start out a Thursday. I think I've said this before, but Thursdays become my most productive days because I start out with having a conversation about the things that I don't usually talk about. So
no, I agree. And they're just the way that I've laid out my schedule and my structure. Thursdays are my most productive day, and they're almost like Friday, because if I do everything right, Fridays are actually, they're never an off day, but they are kind of a breather. So I do sort of more of the 4, 10 or 12-hour days, and then Friday is just pick up the pieces kind of day.
Okay, yeah.
Get the cool things that I didn't get to, or film media or whatever, versus whatever. So I enjoy Thursdays. I'm often tired by Thursday night, but I enjoy Thursdays. It's a target
and
day.
You are working on an intro for us, huh?
Yeah, we did some voiceover recording last week after the show, real quick.
Oh, right, we did.
Yeah. So it'll look the same, but there'll be some explanations as the show comes on, for sure.
Hey, that's really good. I mean, a year and a half in, I think we got I think it's a good time to start.
We finally figured out what direction we want to go and how we want to do this. It's very good. So I've been behind the scenes, and this is sort of I hate to do this, but it's like a big promo tease a little bit today. I do want to talk about teams, collaborations, force multipliers. Man, I'm kind of tired of the expression force multiplier. I have to say, I'm hearing it too much. It's like the new hip thing that doesn't really mean anything. So I'm going to define this here in a minute. But my one thing is I've been working on a big collaboration, a big project behind the scenes, and today is when the official announcement comes. It won't be on this show. It'll be on Herp Collector's show this evening with Mike. But not the whole team, but most of the team will be there. We'll unveil what the project is, and it's bigger than anything I've ever worked on in this industry before. And yeah, I know it, right? It's kind of cool. And it's weird even saying that, because it sort of dropped into my lap, this invitation. And I've used the analogy before, last week, I think. I reached out to somebody who does very good work, and I said, and we had met and we kind of clicked. I said, let's do something cool. Let's do I figured we were going to record some reels, come up with a little bit of a narrative, some fun bounce ideas off of each other. And they came back and were like, we're filming a Hollywood movie and we're getting all the stars. And I was like, seems like a lot. I'm not sure if I want to commit to that. And I even said that I had that conversation openly, and we figured out where it would fit for me to commit to and where it would make sense for me to join the team on. And we'll announce that tonight. That's Mike will be there. Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors, Craig Hansen from Bash Coder, Nikki and Kurt from Irresistible Ball Pythons, Phil from Constrictly Reptiles for sure will be there. Constrictly Business, excuse me, not Constrictly Reptiles. We'll all be there to make the announcement, and I think we got a couple other exciting faces. So, I mean, there's a whole website, there's a whole thing, and I just got to let it be right there. But everybody should check it out tonight. But it inspired me to talk about today because it was a really great example of what happens when you assemble a really good team. And I was able to be part of it. For a lot of my career, it was my job to assemble good teams. I really enjoyed just being like, I joke in a band, like I'm happy to be the side man. I don't want to be the front man. I spend my day and my life being the front man. Just getting on stage and being a great part of a great band or ensemble totally just gets my rocks off. So I'm totally cool with that. And I have a great fun with it because it's almost a relief. Like the pressure's not on me. I feel a little bit of pressure on this one, my face. And I even have a title. It's a little something. So it's a cool thing. And I'm looking forward to it tonight.
The title matters. Definitely. When you get that title, that's
well, I learned the rules from George Costanza. I didn't give myself the title. I was, somebody else did. So it's not like I strolled in and I was like, listen up, here's who I am and what you're getting.
I'm actually pretty serious about that. That's like, it's when you have when you know your role on the team and it's titled something. I mean, it seems like it's more important. And there's more of it's like, you're more a part of the team. You feel important, and I think that's a good thing. Now, let me ask you this, because I know what it is.
Oh, you do? Okay. I promised the team that you didn't know so that you couldn't slip up and make a mistake. So let's just operate under those.
Okay.
All right.
So let me ask you this. Well, who am I going to tell? I think that's the thing.
Well, if you mess up and you make the announcement, then it's all screwed. Then we have totally messed up the tease and screwed up the rollout. Okay.
All right. I don't know what it is.
Okay, good.
I don't know what it is.
That's right.
But how do you keep this thing under your hat? Like, how do you keep a secret? This thing is going on. What is is it just like staying away from people? Is it hard for you to not tell people what's going on?
No, because I believe in it and I believe in the process, and it's been really neat to see. So like, all right, so I'm trying to go from like my one thing to the show. So to wrap up the one thing, everybody check everybody check out Herp Collectors tonight. We'll all be over there, and we'll let you know everything that's going on, and it's a really cool project. I am proud of it. I'm proud to be a part of it and thankful to be a part of it. And we'll talk about how teams and really the whole thought today was the sum of, how do you say the expression? The total was greater than the sum of the parts. Like the final product is just amazing to even have my name attached to. So I'm really thankful and proud. So come check it out. You're going to be excited. And if you think it's a big sales thing, it is free. Also, whatever the thing is, ultimately it's free. So come check it out. You have nothing to lose. Come see Mike at Herp Collectors tonight. So Joe, you were saying, how do we keep it under wraps? It
was more of a personal question. Do you have a hard time keeping a secret or not?
No, I'm pretty I've been told like I have this really weird ability to compartmentalize, like almost like somebody was like, oh, you could be somebody that does like really bad crimes because you would just shove them away. And I'm like, that's scary. I don't think I'm a psychopath. And but no, so I put it away and it goes on, but more strategically or from a skill set, I believe in the timing. I believe in this process. And if I upended that, it would screw things up. And I don't want to be the one that screws that up because I want to see this through, yeah. and I want it done properly. And there is I had this I feel a really heavy dose of like pride and loyalty. So yeah. I was invited to be a part of this and I'm proud of it. So therefore I'm very, very loyal. Again, like I go back to band or restaurant analogies. If a really great band asks me to be a part of something, I'm incredibly committed. I can't be the one that screws up the song or screws up the performance. I'm very committed to and loyal to making that happen. So in that way, no, it's not hard. Now, it is a little bit like Christmas Day. I'm like, I got all these promo ideas. I'm like, oh, I could do this. I could. Nope, can't do. Nope, can't do that. Nope, don't do that. So it is exciting waiting on the green light.
Yeah. So you wouldn't call yourself a gossip, really?
I mean, I enjoy it a little bit, but no, drama's not really my thing. I like knowing what's going on. I like hearing the thing, but also I get exhausted from it too. Like, if there's one thing I've had plenty enough of in my life is restaurant drama. It has its own category of drama, so I don't need any more on that, you know.
Right.
So yeah, like Phil and I perform at Jeremy's annual barbecue reptile breeders get together up in Pennsylvania, Joe, which by the way, I think we laid out an opportunity for you to be there. You weren't able to go, but Phil and I play at that, and it's the same kind of thing. Like, I think we're both a little bit out of our elements when we're doing that, and Phil's an amazing guitarist, but we make it work. And it's here's like the level of commitment. As a duo, we played can't believe it. We played Summer Freebird last year and actually did do it and performed it, which is ridiculous. But yeah, you know, we're committed. You see it through. You want to make it work. So no, it's not that big of a deal to keep it quiet. And I'm excited to do it right.
Yeah,
so that's why. What do you? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go.
What do you look for when you're assembling teams? Like, obviously, in most scenarios, we're not able to just go, you know, I want this Hall of Famer, I want this all-time leader, I want this. You know, we're looking for unpolished gems, so to speak, or people that are approaching their prime, or that are good, that are teachable and that we can lead. So what do you look for? How do you identify? We all know what we want, but how do we find those people?
That's a really good question, because in the past few years We've had trouble, and it's this thing. So for people listening for the first time, I work in an accounting firm, and so we've made some hires that we thought were going to be really good, and you know, it just didn't work out. And accounting is a particular area where I think it's really difficult to find quality people. And we have hired some quality people; they just didn't fit. So, and we've hired on fit before, but then there's like some technical stuff that they don't know. So for like a team like that, it's like making sure that there's a baseline technical understanding of what needs to be done, the ability to learn, and the willingness to learn. And then also there's like a vibe factor, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be able to speak openly and honestly to get things done quickly.
Right.
And to get things done right. So there is kind of like, you have to bring them in, you have to interview them. You've got to there's got to be an easy flow back and forth. There's nothing, and especially at certain points when we're trying to get a lot of things done, you want to be able to have that easy flowing vibe very quickly. So, and that's like, I'm kind of huge on that, even though it's kind of a vague concept. There has to be this connection, I think, right away. And you've got to be, and because that greases the wheels for all kind of communication. So, and that's difficult if you're hiring. It's difficult to tell if that's an actual thing that it's going to be there or not.
You won't know until like the challenges come. I remember like So restaurants can be really territorial, you know, like if you're the new guy in a restaurant, like you're going to go through a little bit of a challenge proving yourself. You're going to get challenged. And even worse, in the place I was in. So for 10 years, I worked for the chain restaurant Ruby Tuesday when I was coming up and starting my career. And there was a time that I was kind of the young hotshot, and they're like, hey, the store, I was a mercenary, man. You pay me money, I'll go anywhere. So, hey, this store, their kitchen manager quit yesterday. I need you to go in and handle it. Okay, I'll go in and handle it. So I remember at the end of the night, one of the biggest things that I hated was guys would just drag at the end of the night because they wanted to ride the clock and get their hours, when I wanted to get out and get down to some social business, and that was not the time. And my time was more valuable outside off of the clock than on the clock.
Right.
And
yeah.
I remember one night as the day one new kitchen manager, I said, all right, guys, get this done. We got to get out of here. Let's get these floors done. And like the lead grill cook, which is right under the kitchen manager, sort of in the hierarchy, he looks at me, he goes, you know, there's a nice way to say that. So I looked at him and I said, pretty please, with a fill in an adjective, cherry on top. Can we get this floor done as quickly as possible, please? And like all that did, but to your point, like who's going to get offended? Who's going to get their feelings hurt? We're just trying to get stuff done. You also talked about like, I think we call them like hard skills and soft skills. Like there's the technical aspect. Can you be an accountant? Can you do accounting math? Can you do tax math? But then the soft skills of, can I stand to work around you? Do you shower regularly? Are you somebody that can be in front of our customers, interacting with them for 4 hours at a time? And
it's what's really hard to gauge is the ability to learn and the willingness to learn.
Right.
Like the willingness to change and to learn. Like it's really hard. And I mean, we're not necessarily, I don't know if this is necessarily the topic that we're talking about. It's hiring people, but I think it's really hard to have even a few interviews and gauge how much somebody is going to be willing to learn and actually committed to a team instead of just being an individual that's going to, that just wants to bring their own skills to the table. And that's not necessarily, maybe their skills are really, really great. And so maybe you need that. But for a good team, like you have to be willing to mold, kind of shapeshift a little bit to get to know what the best contributions you can give to the team.
Yeah. And I think there's a two-way street there. And I think a lot of like teams or leaders, we never want to say to ourselves, like, what could I have, did I fail this person? But one thing I always told managers that reported to me and that were part of the team was that we have to give them the right arena to succeed in and give them a scenario where they are going to do their best work. Because by and large, now, of course, we could get into, societal commentary and nobody wants to work anymore and all that. Let's leave that aside. In general, I don't think anybody comes in, fills out the application, goes through the interview process thinking, I'm going to get this job and I'm going to suck. I can't wait. Right? Like that's not their thing. So how do we harness that goal and that time? Now, some jobs are just jobs and some jobs are where we get paid to do what we love. And most of them are somewhere in between. And the better we can make that work. But I would always try and use the company resources for nice uniforms so you feel proud when you come in. Putting a heavily starched, pressed chef's coat on somebody who's used to working in a dirty t-shirt and jeans really changes their mindset and gets the pride going. Or putting a proper knife in somebody's hands and saying, be careful, but you're going to do amazing work with this kind of thing, or a good atmosphere, giving the people the right atmosphere to succeed. I ask all that to get to this mindset or this concept of force multiplier that we keep hearing about, because finding those people is where like that sweet spot is. You ever hired somebody and they've just like, out delivered their, what do you say? Out punched the weight class, out delivered their pay grade. And it's really not about underpaying somebody. I'm not saying getting value that way. I'm saying getting somebody that with those soft skills, they do all the stuff we're talking about. They provide a better environment for the whole team. The people around them are more encouraged to work and to do a great job and to come. They present a vision. It's almost this nebulous thing. You ever find people like that? Like, you ever have examples of just gold mines that you find that way?
Let's see. Early on in my working life, I think there were a few instances. I see it more outside my own teams, which makes me think maybe I'm not a good a good person who goes out and finds those folks. But I see it more on other teams. Yeah. Like, and I've had the opportunity to work with large organizations and see those teams and just know, oh, that person is, that person's an individual contributor that needs to be a leader. Definitely. Or that person is kind of the hub of that team. And I can see that the team is just 10 times better because of that person's presence.
Yeah. There's some people that you're just like, I don't know what they do. I don't know what we're going to have them do, but I need them in the building kind of.
Yeah.
Thing. And you
right.
figure that out.
Yeah.
I found a little definition here. It says a force multiplier is a business or a team setting. In a business or team setting refers to any factor that significantly enhances the effectiveness, efficiency, or impact of a person, team, or organization beyond what would be possible with the same resources operating individually. I like that last part because working individually, you're basically going to be as good as yourself and the technology around you. But if you could collaborate, if you could find the right people, we get this really cool sort of exponential or delivery of something that is greater than the sum of the parts. And finding that is a really exciting thing.
So what a force multiplier is this person comes into a team and makes the rest of the team better.
Yeah. And, but one thing that's neat to me is that they might only be a force multiplier in that right situation. In another situation, they might not be. Like,
oh, yes, yeah. Okay.
You see what I mean? Like there's layers to this thing of intangibles. And I think that's why it's such this like fulfilling moment when you get those times, because they're fleeting. They are, there's a reason that certain bands are famous, certain teams are iconic, certain restaurants or chefs or whatever it might be, because they're so rare to find those moments where, because I think a force multiplier could be, hell, when this technology rolled out here that we could do this. Could you imagine trying to do this show 15 years ago? There was no, I mean, we need a television studio with satellites to do it, you know?
Why do you think this phenomenon is so few and far between? Why do you think it's so rare?
Egos.
You think so? Yeah,
I do. I really do. I think egos get in the way. I think all the things that I fear of, it's been sort of a theme lately, all the things that I fear of collaborating. And speaking of, by the way, we got $5 in the jar here from Creative Genetics. Also one of the sponsors. Keith, good morning, man. Thank you. I never mean to take any contributions for granted. Guys, go check out Keith at Creative Genetics on Morph Market, Instagram. He's been working on some super gravel. I think he hit super gravel clowns this year, which I'm pretty jealous of because I have not hit those yet. We also did do a collaboration together last year, and it's continuing into this year with a clown axanthic project. We got one last girl that ovulated a couple weeks ago, so we'll have her eggs here in a couple weeks. So check out Keith at Creative Genetics. I know he's working with Stranger and some dark genes. Hypopide axanthic projects for sure. I think he's got some DG stuff too. So go check him out. We'll get to Reagan Renee, your birds boy here in just a minute too. That's Charlie. I think ego's getting in the way. I think there's like a perfect moment of balance, and then something will change. There will be, you achieve so much, and there's an award, or there's somebody that wants credit, or people need raises, or they were doing something under one particular set of circumstances that changed. Maybe the first time around was like for the cause, and the second time was like, whoa, this is becoming a job and a business. I can't just do this for the cause over and over,
Right.
Those moments change. So I guess circumstances could change, but the quickest killer of teams, structures, big organizations, I think, is egos, man. I think the egos are just the detriment to most teams. Myself, that's what comes to mind in my experience.
It could be the ego of the force multiplier, which is maybe warranted too, maybe a little bit, because if you have a team, maybe you're the leader of a team and you have one of those people, it's kind of like, and it can be obvious, so that person might go, okay, well, I should lead this team. So that kind of ego can really get in the way of the dynamics of the group, and it can also undermine the leadership too. So
yeah.
So it's almost like it almost can be kind of a flash in the pan. I see these. I see the chat, and there is this thing where I kind of feel that way as well. Even though, like, if I were to compare my work ethic at one job to Adam's work ethic at one job, I would fail completely. Adam has one of the best work ethics ever, and I'm like I gotta do this over here. I gotta do this over here. I gotta do this over here. So that enters in. So, but I do have younger folks on my team now, and what I have noticed is we have it could be a different definition of work. It could be a different definition of work ethic too. So there was something that came up yesterday. There was a little bit like they took a little bit more time at lunch, right? And so I work with somebody who was, and it affected somebody else who was in the office. And they were like, where are they? And they really got angry. And at the same time, I kind of go, okay, you also have to pick your battles. Like, you got to go, okay, so a few extra minutes, maybe because they needed it to kind of get out and just maybe vent a little bit. It's going to do a lot better for us than getting down on them about being 10 minutes late getting back. So, and I don't know if they have the same, I don't know if that was ever kind of taught to them to go, okay, half hour is a half hour.
Right. Well, I was going to say it, and Phil kind of alluded to it earlier. If those boundaries and expectations aren't ever set, then sure, then that's one of those, maybe you're misleading them. Or I can remember managers that had such an ego. They were like, I've had enough. I'm gonna go straighten this person out. I'm gonna go fire them or whatever. And I'm like, so you're gonna shoot your foot off and then go try and run a marathon? What are we gonna do? When the person is in the building, they're committed to working here. They're showing up.
Yeah.
And because we've got a little bit of a disconnect, your answer is fire them because I'm the boss. Like, what a horrible.
Or treat them in such a way that they want to leave. This is the other thing. They will, younger folks, and I would include myself. This is my millennial part of me instead of my Gen X part.
Okay.
Is I will, if I don't feel good about my job, I'm okay. I'm going to leave. And so I'm more of like an emotional worker. So, and I think maybe, and I hate to use broad strokes like that, but like, I think more people leave because they feel uncomfortable in their work than leaving because they don't like the content of their work. They leave because they don't like the environment in which they're in. That will push them out much quicker than, they don't like the content of their work.
Yeah. I have to say, as an overarching umbrella statement, I can't stand the statements of like kids these days. It's been going on for millennium, and every generation is smarter, faster, more efficient.
Yeah.
Like I imagine, like as a really like crazy exaggerated example, a caveman like rubbing his sticks together and being like, man, kids these days, they just don't want to work and make fires anymore. And like, here comes like the teenage caveman with a little lighter. And he's like, there you go, Pops, done. And like, Pops is like, yeah, they just don't have the work ethic. And he's still rubbing sticks. Like,
and that,
there's a way to get things done. And there's always going to be bums in every generation. And there's always going to be people that excel and succeed. In my mind, that's probably me just being contrarian,
and that's another thing that prevents that flash in the pan, or not flash in the pan, that
magic moment
that happens with force multipliers, is because like we came up with a new kind of model in our organization. And so we had this vision of what a particular position in our organization should be. And so we hired somebody and we were like, here's the position. This is what you're going to do. These are the steps that you need to take. This is how you're going to do it. And we taught that to this person, and that person took it, young guy, he took it and he listened to what was supposed to be done. And then with his own smarts and intelligence, he makes it better. He made it better. He learned how to do things better than we taught him to do that. But we needed to give him the confidence and allow him to listen to his own brain and his own thoughts to go, hey, you know what? I could probably do this better. That's the kind of thing that I want if I'm a leader. That's the kind of thing that I want. If I have a vision for something, I can teach the vision and go, this is how you do it. But I want you to take it and make it your own. And if they take it and make it their own, then that to me is like, yes, yeah, keep doing that.
And that's hard because they could get it wrong. And then you're going, hey, I thought I told you how I wanted this. And they're going, I thought you wanted me to try and make it like, I'm not always going to succeed on every circumstance. But to circle all the way back to this example, I think knowing those expectations or setting boundaries, one of the quotes that's really kind of hit me lately, I heard somebody say, have conversations to set boundaries, or your future resentments will set the boundaries for you. And that really it took me a minute to figure out what that meant. But if you don't speak openly and honest, you're just going to have resentments that piss you off and drive you away from these people later. And so like, even on this particular project, I was a little taken aback at the beginning at the scope of what we were trying to accomplish. And I said that, and I said, this is massive. And the organizer said, well, what parts of it bother you? And I said, well, the whole thing. And he said, well, I'm not asking you to worry about the whole thing. Okay. All right. Well, all right. We got that down. All right. I'm not going to worry about the whole thing. I'll be loyal to the whole thing. We're not going to worry about the whole thing. I said the other challenges for me are just a sheer amount of time. I've seen projects start as one thing and they grow and they creep and they turn into this other massive thing. And then I'm on the hook for something I didn't want to be in the first place. So that scares me and scares a little bit, but I have these concerns. And he said, well noted. If it gets bigger than what we're asking, we'll go on for, we'll bring on a person in your role, or we won't ask more of you than that. I just want your best on what you're able to do. And in this lane. And at that point I was like, fantastic. And in my mind, I'm going, all right, perfect. I remember this conversation. So now I can say, this is what I'll do and won't do. And what's funny is what we worry about or what we communicate openly about almost never comes to fruition. Like it never became an issue. I did my part. I'm trying to knock it out of the park of what my role is, but I don't feel the pressure or expectation to go beyond that. And the people around me are really delivering as well. So that worked out in this instance, and it was with the right people. There might've been other people that are like, it's day one and Adam's telling me all the things he's not going to do. Why do I need to work? Why do I want this guy? That could have been their response too. Right. You know what I mean? It's always a two-way street, and it always can be perceived in different ways. There's that. The one other thing we talked about earlier, that these really great performers, we change the situation. Maybe they become the boss, or maybe they feel like they're that they should have more money. I don't know why it's called this, but there's a business thing called the Peter principle, I believe is what it's called. The person's name, Peter. And it's this idea that good people get promoted until they fail, and then we throw them out the door like they're failures, right? What a terrible thing, but we can all imagine that scenario. We had an interesting exercise that I held on to well after I worked for them, but at the PGA Tour, where there was sort of a vertical axis and a horizontal axis of how well are they performing and how well are they positioned. You can be exceptionally high performing and exceptionally well positioned. And if you are, it will be to the detriment of that person and the company if you move that positioning. Mm-hmm. And it comes back to what goals do people want to achieve? What are attainable challenges versus what's going to make you drown and fail? But I always thought it was it was more of a matrix than a linear, is this person this or that? So high performer, well-positioned is like that the top of the center vertical column. Those were the people that we wanted to build our teams around. The high performer and high untapped acumen, those were our future managers that we would promote, that had the teachability, learnability, moldability, bought into the vision, all of that. And then there was the left side and the lower side that was either underperforming and or poorly positioned. But there were times where I truly believe we saved people's job and livelihood by going to them and saying, probably not your fault. We've positioned you in the wrong place and you're not doing well because of it. I need to reposition you here. And sometimes that meant a lower pay or a less title, or like they were taking a step back, but it extended their ceiling in the long run. And it did work out. That doesn't often work out. I will be the first to admit, I'm not a fan of demotions. However, if we position somebody in the wrong way, we at least owe it to them to have that opportunity.
Those are really excellent points. And I think they're really good for like leaders of teams to understand. But I think there's also this thing where the members of the team have to be self-aware too. What you're talking about with the team that you are on now, you kind of, you're aware of what you can bring to the team. You're not trying to be, you were told not to even think about the whole thing. You're not trying to think about the whole thing. You're trying to do your part the best that you can. And I think that's really important. I think there's this mentality on teams and in organizations where if you're doing a good job, then the natural progression is you like what you're talking about, the Peter principle is to move up and up and up and up. But if you have good self-awareness and you go, I mean, I know that I've worked in universities before, right? I look at the position of president and I go, I should never be a president. That's just not what I'm gonna do. That's not what I'm good at. That's not what I can bring to a group. I should never have that on my plate whatsoever. And to have that self-awareness where it's like it's hard to have that self-awareness because it is such a hierarchical thing of title, position, salary that you go, well, I should be making that much more money because I am contributing everything that I have to this job. But I shouldn't be in that particular position.
Or the comparison trap. That dude's making more than me and he's a dummy. I should get that money. Yeah. I should get that position. Like, whereas if that dude wasn't there as a dummy, you might be very happy in your role.
Right. Yeah.
And all of those intangibles and spinning plates can, once one of them tips, man, it can go just go haywire. So I hate to say it, but a lot of this is just almost intangible luck sometimes. But I do think to circle all the way back, I really liked the production value and the quality that this person was putting out. I liked the personality and getting to know them, which I was able to meet them in person at Tinley and actually spend a little bit of time with them, which is amazing. And you start finding things that click, shared values, life experiences, life challenges that you go, oh my gosh, this person's been through some stuff and I've been through some stuff. And and you start to find these things where enough of the little things click and you're like, let me give this a shot. Now, again, I was taken way aback when the scope of what he was envisioning versus me, I wasn't going to do a dancing TikTok video, but whatever, something stupid like that. I was like, oh, let's just screw around and have something fun. And,
right, yeah.
And he's like, no, we're going to change the industry. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Let's try it. We'll do that. We'll try that this morning. So, some of it is luck, but I do think it starts with those tangible attractions. What do they produce good work? Do they work hard? And then you go find out what makes them that. And just the production of the whole team, but the person in general with the vision. I mean, it was a really, really impressive experience. So I was excited to be a part of that.
And you're bought into it too. I mean, that's a huge thing. That is a huge thing for a team, is being convinced that what you're a part of is good for what you believe in.
There was a moment, and let me be clear, these words were never spoken. These words were never said to me, but there was like an encouraging message conveyed. If you don't want to do this, please don't do it, because we're not screwing around here.
Yeah.
And it, like I say, it was never said, it was never spoken, but it was conveyed. Like, if you're going to be in, get in and get all the way in. And if you're not, let's shake hands now and move along. And that is when somebody can convey that encouragingly with confidence, there's something magnetic about that, of wow, not only is this person a badass, they're such a badass. If I'm not around, they're not bothered. And it becomes like even more attractive. You know what I mean? Where you're like, wow, okay, maybe I do want to be even more. Like, suddenly, like, it's a neat magic trick, man. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I can see that. Now, on this team, is there a particular leader?
Yeah, there's a clear I would say a clear visionary, so to speak. Yeah.
So when your initial question was how do you find that team and that collaboration, and how do you find good members for a team? I think one of the things, if you are a leader and you're building a team, you have to find the complementary members, and they're not going to be like you, which also creates an issue because, like I said before, I think there needs to be a good vibe. But if you have a visionary person and then you have like a details oriented person that's kind of like, well, how are we going to do this? You have this person who's going, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then you have somebody who's going, how we're going to do that. You need both members on that team, because if it's just visionary, then some things aren't going to get done. And if it's just detail and the how, then you're not going to do anything unique and special. So you need both of them on the team. But oftentimes, the person this is the how-to is going to be bothered by the visionary who keeps coming up with new and better ideas. And the visionary is oftentimes going to be like, I can't work with this person. This person is stifling me because they keep asking me how I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter how I'm going to do it. This is the vision. We got to do it.
There were absolutely conversations where it was like, wait a minute, how are we going to get this done? And somebody in their own, each individual lanes would say, that's what you got me for. There's the target. We will hit it. I need you to suspend disbelief that we cannot do this until and unless it happens. Thank you very much. And it was like, okay. But then you have to deliver. That's like a social contract. Like,
right.
Okay, bring it. And they did bring it. And, and there are those moments, and I have had those moments as a leader where menu creation. I got 15 people on a team giving me 22 different ideas each, where I have to go, okay, stop. We've got all the input. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the direction we're going. And we'll learn from it. This will not be the first menu we've created. It will not be the last. We'll revisit some of these amazing ideas the next time around. But this is the scope. This is what we're doing. Let's get this done. And renovations can be that way. I'm doing that with contractors. I'm far from an expert on HVAC, but I had to discuss with a contractor the other day and say, I appreciate all of that. Here's what I need done. Here's what the budget is. This is all I can do, all I am doing. Can we do this or not? Are you the guy? Yep. Got it. Clear. Understand. Okay. Thank you. Now let's go have a good life together.
I think there's another dichotomy. So not only the dichotomy of the detail how-to and the visionary, that I think there's also even a dichotomy of how-to within that realm as well. You'll have people who want to go, okay, this is the end goal. So we've got it by this date, we have to do this. By this date, we have to do this. By this date, we have to do this. And then we get there. And then you have some people who go, this is the end goal. And they think about all different ways of doing things, and they reimagine the different ways of doing that. And then it's not necessarily like, some people will call that procrastination, and sometimes that's procrastination, but sometimes it's just thinking through the how and trying to come up with better ways of doing things. And I also think you need both types of people on that team.
And I am guilty of being horribly impatient. If I think we're 80% somewhere, I'm done with the details. I need to go get it done. We'll polish it up at the end. And that's gotten me very far. But there are times where I have admittedly disregarded some really good input that I perceived as somebody telling me, oh, because I can't stand meetings where it's nothing but here's 99 problems and 0 solutions. And I'm like, well, you know what? Thanks. I've heard everybody, but I've not heard any alternatives. On I go. And I will disregard some very important problems. And I inevitably have to go back and face that person and go, remember in that moment you brought this up? We got to fix it now. And I take that on. That's on me. But in the moment, I needed to move on, man.
It kind of reminds me so you're on a team, you're doing something, you're moving along, it's getting closer to maybe the production point or whatever. And somebody goes, "Oh, why are we doing it this way?" And you're just kind of like, you couldn't bring that up earlier. Like, what?
Yeah.
We're just doing it. Let's continue to do it. It reminds me of like being in like math class when I was a kid, and like I'm just learning math, and somebody raises their hand and goes, "Why are we learning this?" And it's like, dude, just shut up. Let's get through this.
We got to do it. Yeah.
Get through this. But it's a valid question. Why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it? Is there a better way to do it? Yes, that's great. Let's think about a better way to do it. It can be annoying, but it can be create more efficiency.
I had speaking of force multipliers, there's a custom software club management software system that we use in one of my clients, and I was an employee there when we implemented this system. Well, it was such a custom product that the developers from Pakistan had come over to our property, and there was a language and a cultural barrier there. And it took me a day or two to get used to this and to understand this, but they would say the sentence very often, "Why would you do that?" And it never occurred to me, but there's such an undertone of like criticism when you ask somebody, "Why would you do that?" There's in English, in American English, there's like no positive way to say to somebody, "Why would you do that?" And they didn't understand that. So they're in a room with high level brass, very accomplished people. Imagine me going something as simple as possible in a world that is well established and I'm very successful in, going, "Why would you do that?" And I'm going, "Do you know who's writing your paycheck, pal? Like, we're trying to give you 6 figures for your software and you're here criticizing me." But I kind of built a rapport with one of them, and I said, "Why do you keep criticizing?" He says, "I haven't criticized anything." I said, "You keep asking me, why would I do something?" He's like, "Yeah, I need to understand what your goals and your vision are." And I said, Are you like screwing with me like right now? Like, are you now like playing me for the foolish American?" And he's like, "No, how do I better ask, why are you doing what you're doing? How do I ask that better than in English?" And I was like, "I guess you don't." I said, "Let me have a meeting with everybody and explain that you don't mean anything by this." But they would it was 3, 4, 5 days of, "Why do you do this? Why are you doing this?" And it was so that they could codify this into code logic software speak, because software is a series of binary decision making. It is this, it's not this. If it's this, then this. And here's why we do it. And here's the goal we're getting to. So it was a really neat experience. And I've found myself many times having to say, I don't mean anything negative by this, but why are we doing this? Why would we do this way? And it's a really powerful question, actually.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting discussion that maybe another show.
Could be a whole other show.
Yeah. Like I'm a genuinely curious person, and I know that I have upset people by asking curious questions.
Right.
And they take it in a way that's like, "Why are you asking this question?" And I know that I have to be, I have to like make sure that I'm not state it in such a frame it and be diplomatic when I ask my curious questions. Like, why the hell are you breeding reptiles and snakes in your basement, Adam?
Right, Adam, why would you do that?
Take the hell out. I just take the hell out.
Guys, for all of you reptile folks out there, I highly recommend Cold-Blooded Cafe for your frozen feeders. I just put up a reel yesterday. If you want to see how they ship and the packaging, it's all biodegradable. They come in thoroughly frozen, and they ship UPS right to your door. Use a promo code PROPER11. If you've used it before, use it again. It got reset. I had a good conversation with Desiree at the owner there, and you guys have been great with the engagement and the purchasing. Come on back. Come check it out again. Use the promo code PROPER11 for your next order of frozen rodents from Cold-Blooded Cafe. You do have to sign in with your email, though, if you want that discount. So make sure you do that. Check out Husbandry Pro. Manage all your collections data. I manage breeding, feeding, age cycles, generational genealogy for all of my animals. And it's all located in one convenient place, easy to manage and easy to share with other users. Use a promo code PRoyals60 for 60 days free trial of Husbandry Pro. If you forget that promo code, just go to properroyals.com. There's a banner you can click right there. Last but not least is Charlie at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Great friend of the show, great supporter of the show, excellent ball python breeder, current 15 and defending current 15 minutes of lame champion. Also his birds won. He is on a streak this year. But go check out. It's a good year for Charlie. Go check out what he's got going on his morph market at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Very high quality combos, ingredients for singles, doubles, triples, and even quads you'll find on there. Thank you to the sponsors. Guys, tonight, check out Herp Collectors. I believe that I'm certain it's 8 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Central. We will be on. We'll make the announcement. The team partially consisting of myself, Nikki and Kurt from Irresistible Pythons and Rattery, Constrictly Business, that's Phil, and Craig from Bash Coder, as well as Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors. We've got a lot of exciting news to share tonight, and so glad that we can unveil this and bring it to the massive audience. Thank you all very, very much. I will see you soon. I'll be on press tour today. I got that show tonight, and we'll be promoting this thing. I'm just going to leave it at thing. You got to find out. You got to tune in tonight, guys. Joe,
and I want to thank everybody on the chat. There was a lot of great stuff on the chat today, and I want to tell everybody that whatever is said on the chat, whatever you're saying here, I take and I think about it, and it affects what I do in my professional life and my personal life. It's great, and so I'm just thankful to be here every Thursday morning to chop it up a little bit about how to go about the world. So thanks, everybody.
Do you remember I know we're in overtime, but do you remember, I don't know if you do, but my grandfather, when I was growing up, always had one day of the week where he went to have coffee with the boys, and they went to but it was at the hardware stores. This is weird thing, but it was in town. And I remembered that at the property I was managing, I said, you know what? We have nowhere for these retirees to go have coffee with the boys or cards with the girls or whatever. I don't know what ladies do, but you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's this here. And because otherwise it'd just be me and Joe yammering into computer screens at each other. So it's really cool that people show up. I'm not good at doing the roll calls and the shout outs, but I see so many people every week, week in and week out. So I genuinely, to echo what Joe's saying, I really, really appreciate it. And we didn't even talk about community being a force multiplier today, but it really is.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that we could dive more into, and it's a running theme. So just want to say thanks, and I hope you all have a great week. Joe, sorry, man. Sorry to tell you, this coming week ain't going to be as good as the last week was for you. You've already peaked, man. Do? Yeah, you're on the downhill slope.
I am still a champion. I will be a champion this entire year.
Don't forget it. Own it. Keep strutting it. Climb some lampposts. Find a Santa to throw some batteries at. Live your best Philly self life. Okay, man?
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.